we're going to work on the castaway example. But before we do that, I want to recording software up here. So let's keep going here. The reason that this one is handy is because you can look at the solution in the book, and they don't have the. Go ahead and switch to computer, please. They don't have. They don't have everything written out for this one, but some of them they do. All right. So you can. So back to DocCam, please. Okay. So use that and then double check. Go over your diagrams again, see where you made your mistake if you didn't nail that that answer in the book. Okay. So that's a good way for you to do it. All right. Now switch to laptop, please. All right, now my wonderful students, I'm done on the DocCam for today, I think. All right, we're going to do a trig problem. Half as big, twice as easy. Okay. So in other words, it's not eight displacement vectors, it's only 4. All right, so let's look at what we got. Okay, so we're done with the castaway example. Now this is the farmer pacing off. Go ahead and make a sketch of this because you're going to need it. Make a very careful sketch. So a farmer starts in the lower left of his field and he paces off 4.7 kilometers. And so he's using his compass. This is like a surveyor, like Abe Lincoln before he became president. He was a surveyor, among other things. 4.70 kilometers at 7.5 degrees south of east. All right. And then, okay, then he gets to the corner post of his property and he turns and he heads 16 degrees west of north for a distance of 2.48 kilometers. So these are miles. This is a big field, big piece of property. So he's out west. He's growing wheat. Everything's good. Making a lot of money off wheat. All right. Then he gets to the third post, the third corner post. And he turns to face the last corner post up in the north. And he goes 3.02 kilometers, displacement vector C, in the direction 19 degrees north of west. All right, as shown in the diagram. Now, and then at the end of that 3.02, he's at the fourth corner post. Now, he's a smart, Abe Lincoln was a smart cookie, very smart. Okay. Plus, he freed the slaves and won the Civil War. Plus, he was a good guy. He helped a lot of people. And he was so smart that he said, I don't even have to walk the last lap. He says, I don't, he's also kind of a lazy guy. That's true. I mean, he was a great wrestler in his youth. He was so tall and rangy that nobody could throw him. He had so much leverage on a normal person that he won there's only one guy that ever battled to a draw with Abe Lincoln wrestling wise. And that was a little guy that was built like a tank. And neither of them could throw each other. It's a famous story, Abe Lincoln. But he was also famous for relaxing and stuff. Even when he was president. It's kind of funny. You should read a good biography of Abraham Lincoln. It's very interesting. Anyway, so he says, I'm not going to walk that last. I got to go check a few books out of the library in the opposite direction. So I'll calculate this last segment doing trig. All right. And Abraham Lincoln knew his trig. He was a surveyor, so he had to. All right. So he couldn't calculate that angle or that distance d, or he didn't. He left that for homework. All right. Now he didn't have a physics or a math teacher. He just said, oh, okay, I'll do this at home when I get home by the fireplace in my log cabin, etc. But what I want you guys to do is to figure out that last displacement, and then I want you to calculate the perimeter. Now notice that this one, there's no overlap, there's no crossing vectors, everything should be cut and dried. Now the way I want you to do this, is by groups. Now I have a question. If you're in a group, I want you to raise your hand if you are the leftmost person. There's nobody to the left of you in your group, and there's two people to the right. Raise your hand if that's you. Okay. Come on, it's an IQ test. You guys don't have groups yet? Okay, choose up groups. Who wants to choose up groups? Okay, choose up groups and figure out who's the leftmost person. Okay. All right. Now you guys are one group. Okay. So you better sit over here next to these guys instead of using hypnosis, long range hypnosis. You can use that in certain circumstances, but it's better to work together. So you guys, do you guys have groups over there? Kayla, Kaylin, group? Who's your group? Who's the leftmost person in your group? Okay. Leftmost. Do you guys all have groups at your table? I see two hands up. Okay, so baseball, Nike hat. You're the third man. Wait a minute now. Okay, so okay, what's your name again? No, you're Tanner. What's your name again? You. Steven? And what's your name sitting next to Steven? The Invincible Two. You guys are the group, okay? And then the group of three around the back with Tanner, and then you guys around the corner here, okay? Now that's just for today. So what I want you to do, in your group of three, or in case you're the Invincible Two over here, these two guys, you can put your hands down. I want you to do all your calculations like you just did. Do carefully together. Make sure that you have enough to take home in your notes that you can replicate anything about this diagram. Okay? All right? Because if you don't, you're going to be at a disadvantage. Calculate the perimeter of the quadrilateral. So you got to do this task of figuring out vector D, and then you got to figure out the perimeter. Okay? And that's not too bodacious. Prepare the solution. When you get it all figured out, you're confident, you and your group are confident, prepare a solution on one page, one side, with your three names in your group at the top, and you're going to hand that in, all right, before we dismiss today, okay? But then you want to have your notes as well so that you can study it and make sure the homework assignment, you can review it and get ready for the homework assignment, because we're going to have homework tonight for points on your exam, or for points on your grade. All right. So go ahead and start. Is anybody? We'll come around with a blank piece of white paper to use. So use some of this. See if you can find a little bit more. We got 30. No, 10:50 is when we get out. Not 9:50. It's a long class. Yeah, it's almost 10. We got another 10, another 50 minutes. Yeah, so we got 40 minutes, 42 minutes. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Does that cut into your other class?
No, I think he just told me 10:15.
Oh.
But that's fine. I just think I have a call at 10:30, so I might step out for like a minute.
And hey, you guys, don't forget, this is for a classwork grade today. This is your classwork grade. All right? So this is the Trig Laboratory. Okay, let me talk to you guys a minute. when you're circulating, just this is just 4 right triangles. Okay. So, but make sure everybody knows what they're doing and coach them along. Don't give them the answer and stuff. And make sure that everybody has. The other thing is make sure everybody has good notes because the homework assignment is going to be based on this diagram. Okay. All right. Go ahead and circulate. Okay. Who still has their turn-in page? You guys ready? These guys are ready. Are you ready? Give it to Quinn. Turn-in pages, turn them into Quinn or Tyler, please. Okay. Shh, 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 shh. All right. What we're going to do now is just go quickly through the solution, and you can double check your notes and stuff. Definitely make sure you have this diagram in there. All right. Can you switch me over to document cam, please? Okay. Here's the document cam, and so this is the farmer's field problem, and basically you have 4 vectors of displacement, and since the 4th vector D, the unknown vector, returns to the starting spot, that means the sum of all the vectors is equal to 0. That's what sum of displacements equal to 0 means. The return to the starting spot. Now I decide to do the subtriangles method here. So triangle A, triangle B, triangle C, you can see the calculation for that. Double check your notes, and you'll see, 4.66 kilometers for AX is positive, but it has a negative Y component, negative 0.61 kilometers. Now notice down below there, I did my Pythagorean theorem check. All right, did you do that? Don't forget, if you make a mistake, you can catch it with doing the Pythagorean theorem check. I mean, it doesn't catch everything, but sometimes you'll catch something. Vector B, question. You can if you want, if you could put it in carefully. Notice that mine's very abbreviated, okay? And I've got it for all 3 of my vectors. Yeah, I can see you guys pointing at my diagrams and stuff. So vector B, that's second quadrant, so that's negative X component, positive Y component, negative 0.68 kilometers horizontal component, 2.38 kilometers vertical component. And hey, you guys, these are physical vectors, so you have to use the unit of measurement, which is kilometers. Okay, C is also second quadrant, so it's going to be negative positive again. And you can see negative 2.86 kilometers, 0.98 kilometers, and Pythagorean theorem check works out on that. And if you look at that, it's basically a squared plus b squared equals check. That is a compact way of saying that I checked to make sure that my triangle is, fits the Pythagorean theorem. So you were asking me, yo, in the back, what's your name with the hat? JJ. JJ was asking me, do I have to put all that Pythagorean theorem check on there? This would be sufficient. This communicates to me, yeah, I did my Pythagorean check. All right. But if you have more room, you can put, I probably could have put a little bit more on there. But right now, the theory is a little bit lower down. As I said, if location A, where Abe Lincoln starts, is the origin, then the vectors A plus B plus C plus D equals 0 means that they return to the origin. In other words, the first corner post in that quadrilateral field. And that being the case, that means that, again, vector D is the vector sum of minus A plus minus B plus minus C. All right, so you just got to figure out your minuses and add them all up, and then that's your D component. Your X component for D, negative 1.12 kilometers, and your y component for D, negative 2.75. And notice in the original diagram, let me go back. Can you go back to laptop, please? Okay, in the original diagram, D is a third quadrant vector because it's directed to basically to the southwest. All right, so it's going to be negative, negative. Okay, go back to the dot can. Okay, so 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 down here, it's good that I have negative, negative. So that makes sense. And there are my components. And you can see my Pythagorean calculation for magnitude D 2.97. And then you just add up the hypotenuses for the perimeter, 13.17 kilometers. Question?
Regarding significant digits, would it be 13.2 or since this is addition?
Yeah, actually it'd be, well, you're right. It should be three significant figures to the hundredths place if possible, but in this case, 13.2. You're right. That's correct. So, so really what I should do is have one more line, where I say, okay, cut to three significant figures, 13.2 kilometers for the distance around this quadrilateral. Okay. Now, I want to talk to you. Can you switch to laptop, please? We're going to dismiss. It's time to go. 10:50. So here's the homework for the weekend. I want you to read up to chapter 3.2 on acceleration, and just to give you a little beckoning, I'm going to give away some free money. This is a $5 bill. I've got all of your attention now. On Tuesday, I'm going to give away a free $5 bill. Under certain conditions, you got to do a certain physical task, which I'll tell you about on Tuesday. So read up to chapter 3.2 on acceleration. Work out some of the examples. Don't leave quite yet. Homework 1, as I mentioned, is going to be up as a PDF about supper time in web courses. It'll be due Tuesday, and we'll collect it the first. And don't forget, I'm going to have an alphabetic group, so you don't know who's going to be called on. It could be the end of the alphabet. It could be the middle of the alphabet. It could be half of the end of the alphabet and half the beginning of the alphabet. I could divide the roster up into 6 pieces. That would really mess with your minds. But everybody be ready to turn in a good written work, kind of like what you saw on the document cam here this morning. All right, you're dismissed. I'll see you next week.